My 5-year-old son sent his sick mother's photo to her ex not knowing the billionaire CEO cancelled his wedding. The words that came out of Justin Cooper's mouth silenced 300 wedding guests in an instant. Cancel everything. The wedding coordinator stepped forward, her professional smile faltering. Mr. Cooper, the ceremony begins in 2 hours. We have 300 guests seated. The media is all ready. I said cancel everything. The wedding. The reception. The photographers. All of it. His bride-to-be, Melissa Bradford, stood frozen in the doorway of the bridal suite, her $17,000 dress suddenly feeling like a costume for a play that would never open. Justin, what are you talking about? We have been planning this for 18 months. Our families are here. The governor is here. Justin was already pulling off his bow tie, shedding his custom Armani jacket like it was burning his skin. I am sorry, Melissa. I cannot do this. Cannot do what? Marry me. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a hiss. What happened? What changed in the last 5 minutes? This. He held up his phone, showing her a photograph that meant nothing to her and everything to him. She is sick. She might be dying. I have to go. Who is she? Who is this woman? Someone I should have chosen 6 years ago. Someone I was too much of a coward to fight for. Justin grabbed his wallet and headed for the door. My legal team will handle the fallout. I will cover all the costs. But I am not walking down that aisle today or any other day. You are throwing away $47 million. Our family's merger. Everything we have built. For what? For some woman in a photograph? Justin paused at the door, and when he turned back, his eyes held something Melissa had never seen in their entire relationship. Something raw and desperate and absolutely certain. For everything that actually matters. And then he was gone. Walking out of a Manhattan penthouse that cost more than most people's houses. Walking away from 300 shocked faces and a scandal that would dominate headlines for weeks. Walking toward a private jet that would carry him 3,000 miles to a woman who had every reason to slam the door in his face. But here is what Justin did not know. The person who sent that photograph was not the woman in the image. It was not a friend trying to help or a relative reaching out. It was a 5-year-old boy with his mother's old phone and his father's stubborn determination. A little boy who had no idea that his desperate act would cancel a wedding, destroy a merger, and bring his parents face to face for the first time in 6 years. This is a story about what happens when a child refuses to accept that help is impossible. When a mother learns that protecting her heart and truly living cannot coexist forever. When a man finally chooses the hard right thing over the easy wrong thing. This is a story about second chances. But not the fairy tale kind. The real kind. The kind that have to be earned through consistent action and painful honesty and the slow, difficult work of becoming who you should have been all along. It started with one photograph. One brave little boy. And a love that refused to stay buried no matter how deep they tried to bury it. Let me take you back to the beginning. To a small apartment in Portland where a 5-year-old boy was about to do something incredibly brave and completely unauthorized. The morning sunlight crept through thin curtains, casting pale rectangles across worn hardwood floors. The apartment was quiet except for the soft rhythm of labored breathing coming from the couch where Jane Pittman lay sleeping. She had been sleeping a lot lately. Too much, really. Her face looked wrong in a way that 5-year-old Aaron could not quite name but recognized instinctively as dangerous. Her skin was too pale. Her breathing was sometimes too shallow. And the bottles on the coffee table kept multiplying, each one promising to help but none of them seeming to work. Aaron sat cross-legged on the carpet near the window, his mother's old phone clutched in his small hands. The phone was supposed to be dead. His mother had shoved it in a drawer months ago when she could not afford the service anymore, telling him it was just junk now, nothing useful. But Aaron had discovered something magical. When he sat in exactly the right spot near the window, the phone could still do things. It connected to something called Wi-Fi from the neighbors, and suddenly the dead phone was not dead at all. He had found the photo gallery first. And what he found there was like discovering a secret world. Picture after picture of his mother looking different. Not sick. Not tired. Not worried about money or medicine or all the things that made her cry at night when she thought he was sleeping. In these pictures, his mother was smiling. Really smiling, the kind that made her eyes crinkle and her whole face light up like there was sunshine living inside her. And in most of those pictures, there was a man. Dark hair, kind eyes, always standing close to her like he belonged there. Aaron had asked about the man once, months ago. His mother's face had done something complicated, a mixture of pain and something else he did not understand. That is someone from before, she had said, her voice carrying that particular fragility that told Aaron not to ask more questions. From a different life. But Aaron was 5 years old, and 5-year-olds do not always understand when they are supposed to stop asking questions. What he understood was simpler. More urgent. His mother was sick. The doctors she needed cost money they did not have. And somewhere out there was a man who used to make her smile. Aaron had lain awake the night before, staring at the ceiling of his tiny bedroom, listening to sounds that no child should have to hear. His mother crying. Not the quiet crying she did sometimes when she thought he could not hear, but the desperate kind. The kind that came with words. I do not know how much longer I can do this. The medicine costs too much. Everything costs too much. I am so tired. I am so tired and I do not know what to do. Those words had burrowed into Aaron's chest and stayed there, heavy and cold. He had wanted to go to her, to climb onto the couch and tell her everything would be okay. But he knew that would just make her feel bad for waking him up. So he stayed in bed and made a plan. The plan was simple, the way plans made by 5-year-olds always are. Find someone who could help. The man in the pictures looked like he could help. He looked rich, maybe. He looked like he cared about his mother. He looked like the kind of person who might want to know if she was sick. Aaron scrolled through the contacts with clumsy fingers until he found the name that matched the face in all those happy photographs. Justin. He did not know how to write a message. He could barely spell his own name, let alone explain everything that was happening with his mother. But he knew how to use the camera. He had watched his mother take pictures hundreds of times. He found a photograph he had taken himself 2 days ago. He had not meant to take it. He had been playing with the phone and accidentally pressed the button while looking at his mother sleeping on the couch. But now, looking at that picture, he thought maybe it was exactly what he needed to send. In the photo, his mother lay on their old couch, her face pale and gaunt, dark circles under her eyes. A half-empty bottle of prescription pills sat on the coffee table beside her, right next to a stack of papers that Aaron knew were bills because his mother always looked sad when she opened them. It was not a pretty picture. But it was true. Aaron found the name Justin in the contacts. He pressed on it. He found the little button that let you attach a photo. He selected the picture of his mother. His finger hovered over the send button for just a moment. Some instinct told him this was a big thing he was doing. That it might change things in ways he could not predict. But then he thought about his mother crying in the dark. About the medicine bottles multiplying on the coffee table. About the way she sometimes looked at him like she was trying to memorize his face. He pressed send. The phone made a small whooshing sound. The picture disappeared into wherever pictures go when you send them to someone far away. And that was that. Aaron put the phone back in the drawer where he had found it. Then he went to the kitchen to make himself breakfast, carefully pouring milk over cereal the way his mother had taught him, because Aaron Pittman had learned early how to take care of himself when no one else could. He did not know that 3,000 miles away, in a Manhattan penthouse that cost more than his mother would earn in a lifetime, a man in a wedding tuxedo was about to have his entire world shattered by that single photograph. He did not know about cancelled weddings or billion-dollar mergers or the complicated wreckage of adult relationships. He just knew his mother was sick, and he had found someone who used to make her smile. Sometimes the bravest acts come from the smallest people. And sometimes one photograph is all it takes to change everything. 3,000 miles away, in a penthouse suite that overlooked Manhattan's glittering skyline like a king surveying his kingdom, Justin Cooper was going through the motions of the biggest day of his life. The personal stylist adjusted his bow tie for the third time, stepping back to admire her work with the critical eye of someone who charged $400 an hour for her services. Perfect, she declared. The cameras will love you. Justin studied his reflection in the floor-to-ceiling mirror without really seeing it. The man looking back at him was objectively impressive. 34 years old, dark hair with just enough distinguished silver at the temples to suggest gravitas without age. Sharp jawline, sharper suit, the kind of presence that made people pay attention when he walked into a room. He looked like a man about to marry into one of America's most influential families. He looked like a man who had everything figured out. He looked like a stranger. In 2 hours, Justin would walk down an aisle in a ballroom that had been transformed with $200,000 worth of flowers. He would take the hand of Melissa Bradford, daughter of Senator Richard Bradford and heiress to a pharmaceutical fortune that made his own substantial wealth look modest by comparison. Their wedding would be featured in 3 different publications. Their union would merge 2 families whose combined influence could shape legislation and markets and the very fabric of American business. It was, by any objective measure, the smart match. The strategic match. The kind of marriage that built dynasties. So why did he feel like he was walking toward his own execution? Justin moved to the window, looking out at the city he had conquered. Cooper Industries occupied 12 floors of the building across the street. He had built that company from a modest inheritance into an empire worth billions. He had graced magazine covers. He had shaken hands with presidents. And he had never felt more empty. The hollowness had been his constant companion for 6 years now. A persistent ache behind his ribs that no amount of success seemed to fill. He had tried to ignore it, to drown it in work and achievements and the endless accumulation of things that were supposed to matter. But late at night, in the penthouse that felt more like a museum than a home, the emptiness always returned. Whispering the same truth he had spent 6 years trying to forget. You let her go. You chose wrong. And you have been paying for it ever since. Her. Jane. He did not let himself think her name often. It hurt too much, like pressing on a wound that had never properly healed. But on a day like today, when he was about to legally bind himself to someone else forever, the memories pushed through whether he wanted them to or not. Jane Pittman had been nothing like the women his family approved of. She was not wealthy, not connected, not the kind of woman who photographed well at charity galas and knew which fork to use at formal dinners. She was a graphic designer when they met, working at a small firm that had done some contract work for Cooper Industries. Justin had noticed her immediately. Not because she was the most beautiful woman in the room, though she was certainly beautiful. But because of the way she looked at him. Everyone else looked at Justin Cooper and saw the CEO. The billionaire. The catch. Jane had looked at him and seen something else entirely. The parts of himself he had learned to hide. The insecurities he masked with confidence. The loneliness beneath the success. She had challenged him. Pushed back when he was being arrogant. Laughed at his pretensions. Made him want to be better instead of just richer. For 2 years, she had been everything. And then his family had found out. The memory still made Justin's jaw clench. His mother's cool assessment as she reviewed the private investigator's report on Jane's background. His father's dismissive pronouncement that she was clearly after the family money. His brother's snide comments about how embarrassing it would be to bring someone like her to the company's anniversary gala. She is not suitable, his mother had said, the words precise and cold as surgical instruments. Not connected. Not from the right circles. Think about what you are building, Justin. Think about your legacy. Do you really want to compromise everything for a woman who brings nothing to the table? Justin should have fought back. Should have told his family that Jane brought everything to the table, everything that actually mattered. Should have chosen love over legacy and connection over convenience. Instead, he had hesitated. He had let their doubts plant seeds in his own mind. He had started seeing Jane through their eyes instead of his own. And then Melissa Bradford had appeared at a charity gala, beautiful and connected and approved of by everyone who mattered. She made everything easy. She understood his world. She did not challenge him to be better because she was perfectly content with who he already was. The transition happened so gradually that Justin almost convinced himself it was natural evolution rather than cowardice. Spending more time with Melissa. Less time with Jane. Making excuses. Avoiding conversations. Until finally, on a night he would never forget, Jane had confronted him. You are choosing them over me, she had said, her voice steady even as tears streamed down her face. Your family, their expectations, what looks good on paper. You are choosing all of that over what we have. Jane, it is complicated. You do not understand the pressure. I understand perfectly. She had cut him off with a laugh that held no humor. I understand that when it came down to it, you were too afraid to fight for us. You took the easy way out. And that tells me everything I need to know about who you really are. She had left that night. Left his apartment, left New York, left his life completely. Her final words had haunted him ever since. Do not contact me again. I deserve someone brave enough to choose me. Clearly, that is not you. He had told himself it was for the best. Told himself they wanted different things. Told himself that Melissa made more sense, that his family knew what they were talking about, that passion faded anyway and it was better to build a partnership on practical foundations. He had told himself so many lies that he almost believed them. Almost. His phone buzzed, pulling Justin from memories he should not be entertaining on his wedding day. He glanced at the screen automatically, a CEO's reflex even at moments when work should be the last thing on his mind. The notification made no sense at first. It was from an old iCloud account, a forwarded message from a number he had not seen in 6 years. A technological ghost, something that should not exist. His finger moved to dismiss it. Just spam, probably. Some glitch in the system. But something made him open it instead. The photograph loaded slowly, his expensive phone somehow choosing this moment to struggle with a simple image. And then it was there, filling his screen, and the world stopped. Jane. But not the Jane he remembered. Not the vibrant, fierce woman who had challenged him and loved him and left him with words that still burned. This Jane was pale. Thin in a way that spoke of illness rather than choice. She lay on a couch that had seen better decades, surrounded by the unmistakable evidence of struggle. Medicine bottles. Worn furniture. Bills scattered on a coffee table. The particular kind of exhaustion that came from fighting alone for too long. She was sleeping in the photograph, and there was something about the way she looked that made Justin's heart stop. Like she was not just tired but fading. Like she was losing a battle he had not known she was fighting. Justin grabbed the edge of the vanity, his legs suddenly unreliable. Mr. Cooper. The stylist's voice came from somewhere far away. Are you all right? You have gone quite pale. He did not answer. Could not answer. His mind was racing through possibilities, none of them good. Who had sent this? Why now? What was happening to her? He checked the message information with shaking fingers. The photo had been sent from Jane's old number, the one she had used when they were together. But there was no text accompanying it, no explanation, nothing but the image itself. Location data. The thought cut through his panic. Old habits from years of business analysis kicked in. He checked the photo's metadata and found a Portland address. She was in Portland. She was sick. And someone had sent him this picture for a reason. Mr. Cooper. The stylist again, her voice tinged with concern now. The ceremony is in 2 hours. We really should finish. Cancel everything. The words came out before Justin fully processed them. But the moment they left his mouth, he knew they were right. Knew them with a certainty he had not felt about anything in 6 years. I am sorry. The stylist blinked, sure she had misheard. The wedding. The reception. The photographers, the caterers, the musicians. All of it. Cancel everything. He was already pulling off the bow tie, shedding the jacket that cost more than most people's monthly rent. His fingers found his phone, pulling up his pilot's number. Mr. Cooper, the ceremony begins in 2 hours. There are 300 guests already in the building. The media is set up. You cannot possibly. I need to be in Portland, Justin cut her off. Now. Tonight. Whatever it takes. Portland. She stared at him like he had announced plans to fly to the moon. But your wedding is not happening. And that was when Melissa appeared in the doorway, resplendent in her designer gown, her carefully styled hair, her expertly applied makeup that probably cost more than some people's cars. Justin, what are you talking about? We have been planning this for 18 months. Our families are here. The governor is here. He should have felt guilty. Looking at her, at the confusion and hurt dawning on her beautiful face, he should have felt something like remorse for what he was about to do to her. Instead, he felt the first clarity he had experienced in years. I am sorry, Melissa. I cannot do this. Cannot do what? Marry me. Her voice rose, that careful social polish cracking to reveal real emotion underneath. What happened? What changed in the last 5 minutes? This. He showed her the phone. She is sick. She might be dying. I have to go. Melissa looked at the photograph, and her expression shifted from confusion to anger to something cold and calculating. Who is she? Who is this woman? Someone I should have chosen 6 years ago. Justin headed for the door. Someone I was too much of a coward to fight for. I am going to fix that now. You are throwing away $47 million. Melissa's voice followed him, sharp with fury. Our family's merger. Everything we have built. For what? For some woman in a photograph who might not even want to see you? Justin paused at the door. When he turned back, he looked at Melissa, really looked at her, and saw clearly what he should have seen all along. She was not angry because she loved him. She was angry because he was disrupting her plans. They had never loved each other. Not really. They had loved what the other represented. The merger, the connections, the strategic advantage. It had been a business arrangement dressed up as romance, and he had almost made the worst mistake of his life by going through with it. For everything that actually matters, he said quietly. My legal team will handle the fallout. I will cover all the costs. But I am not walking down that aisle today. If you walk out that door, Melissa's voice went cold, you will never walk back. This is your one chance. I know. And with that, Justin Cooper walked out of his own wedding. Past the stylists and the coordinators. Past the security team that tried to intercept him. Past the service hallways that led away from the 300 guests who would soon learn that the wedding of the year had just become the scandal of the decade. He was in his car within minutes, on the phone with his pilot, arranging the fastest possible flight to Portland. The fallout would be massive. He understood that. Melissa's family would be furious. His own family would likely disown him. The media would have a field day with the billionaire who abandoned his bride at the altar for a mystery woman. None of it mattered. Because somewhere in Portland, the woman he had been too cowardly to choose 6 years ago was sick and alone. And this time, he would not take the easy way out. The flight to Portland took 5 hours. 5 hours of pacing the narrow aisle of his private jet. 5 hours of staring at that photograph until every detail was seared into his memory. 5 hours of planning what he would say when he arrived, rejecting every version as inadequate. What could you say to someone you had abandoned? What words could bridge 6 years of silence, 6 years of regret, 6 years of choosing wrong? I am sorry seemed laughably insufficient. I never stopped loving you felt presumptuous. I should have fought for you was true but also 6 years too late. Justin researched Jane's address obsessively during the flight. A modest apartment building in a working-class neighborhood. Not struggling exactly, but nowhere near the life she should have had. The life he could have given her if he had been brave enough to choose it. He found nothing else. No social media presence, no business website, no digital footprint at all. She had effectively disappeared from his world the day she walked out of his apartment. Had she been sick this whole time? Had she been struggling alone while he built his empire and planned his strategic wedding? The thought made him physically ill. The jet landed in Portland just after 10 at night. Justin had a car waiting, had given the driver the address the moment they touched down. The city scrolled past his window, unfamiliar and ordinary, nothing like the Manhattan skyline he had left behind. This neighborhood was quiet. Modest houses and apartment buildings, families with children, people who worked regular jobs and worried about regular problems. It was so far from his penthouse and his merger and his 300 wedding guests that it might as well have been another planet. The car stopped in front of a small apartment building. 3 stories, weathered brick, a communal entrance that had seen better days. Justin stared at it through the window for a long moment, his courage suddenly failing him. What if she refused to see him? What if she slammed the door in his face? What if the photograph was old and she was already gone and he was too late? What if? He had spent 6 years on what ifs. 6 years of regret and rationalization and refusing to face the truth about his own cowardice. And all of that had led him here, to this moment, to this choice. He got out of the car. The hallway inside smelled like old carpet and someone's dinner. The elevator was out of order, so he climbed 3 flights of stairs, each step feeling heavier than the last. By the time he reached apartment 3B, his heart was pounding with something that had nothing to do with physical exertion. Justin raised his hand to knock. Hesitated. Raised it again. Just do it, he told himself. Whatever happens, you owe her this. You owe her the chance to tell you exactly what you deserve to hear. He knocked. And then, because he could not stop himself, he knocked again. And again. Desperate, insistent, the knocking of someone who was afraid that if he stopped, he might lose his nerve entirely. Jane. His voice came out rough, unfamiliar. Please. I know you are there. I saw the photo. I just need to know you are okay. Silence from inside. Then the sound of movement. Small footsteps, too light to be an adult. His heart stopped. Small footsteps. In Jane's apartment. At 10 o'clock at night. The door opened a crack, chain still engaged, and a face appeared in the gap. Not Jane's face. A child's face. A boy, maybe 5 or 6 years old, with dark hair and intelligent eyes and an expression of suspicious assessment that was achingly familiar. Because Justin was looking at his own eyes. His own stubborn jawline. His own way of analyzing a situation before committing to action. He was looking at his son. Before we continue with what happened next, I need to pause and speak directly to you. We have just witnessed something extraordinary. A billionaire walking away from $47 million because one photograph was worth more than everything else he had built. A 5-year-old boy brave enough to reach out to a stranger because he refused to watch his mother fade away. And now, in a doorway in Portland, 2 strangers are about to meet for the first time. A father and son who do not know each other yet. Have you ever had a moment where everything you thought you knew about your life suddenly shifted? Where a single piece of information changed the entire picture? If this story is resonating with you, if you want to know what happens when Justin comes face to face with the truth, I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that like button. It tells me you want more stories like this, and it helps more people find them. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Click that subscribe button and the notification bell because trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next. Now, back to that doorway in Portland where everything is about to change. Who are you? The boy's voice was surprisingly steady for someone confronting a strange adult at his front door. Not frightened, exactly. More like assessing. Like he was trying to figure out if Justin was a threat or a solution. I am looking for Jane. Justin managed to keep his voice calm despite the earthquake happening inside his chest. Jane Pittman. Does she live here? The boy studied him with those familiar eyes. My mama is sleeping. She sleeps a lot now because she is sick. Mama. The word hit Justin like a physical blow. This child, this boy who looked so much like him it was almost painful, was Jane's son. Which meant, given the math, given the timing, given every piece of evidence staring him in the face, he was also Justin's son. He had a child. A 5-year-old child he had never known existed. A child who had grown up without him, who was currently looking at him with the suspicious gaze of someone deciding whether to call for help. What is your name? Justin asked, his voice barely steady. Aaron. The boy's eyes narrowed. How do you know my mama? She does not have friends who come over. Aaron. The name echoed in Justin's mind, settling there like it had always belonged. His son's name was Aaron. I knew your mother a long time ago. Before you were born. We were very close. Something shifted in Aaron's expression. Recognition, maybe. Or the beginnings of understanding. Are you the man in the pictures? What pictures? On Mama's old phone. There are lots of pictures of her smiling with a man who has dark hair like you. She said he was from before. From a different life. Justin's throat tightened. Jane had kept pictures of them. After everything, after 6 years of silence, she had kept photographs from when they were together. Yes. The word came out rough. That is me. Aaron was quiet for a long moment, processing this information with the serious concentration of a child who had learned early that grown-up matters required grown-up attention. Then he said something that shattered whatever remained of Justin's composure. Did you get my message? Justin stared at him. Your message? I sent you a picture of Mama sleeping. Because she has been really sick and crying about money for medicine and I did not know what else to do. I found your name on her old phone and I thought maybe you could help because you used to make her smile. The photograph. The picture that had made Justin abandon his wedding and fly 3,000 miles. It had not been sent by Jane. It had not been sent by a friend or a relative or anyone trying to interfere. It had been sent by this 5-year-old boy. His son. Trying to save his mother in the only way he knew how. Justin sank to his knees in the hallway, bringing himself to Aaron's eye level. The movement was involuntary, driven by an overwhelming need to be closer to this child he had not known existed until 5 minutes ago. You sent that picture, he said slowly. You found my number on your mother's phone and you sent me a picture because you wanted to help her. Aaron nodded solemnly. Mama does not know. She would be mad probably. But I heard her crying last night about not being able to afford things and I thought maybe someone should know. And you were the only person in her phone who looked like they might care. The words were a knife to Justin's heart. The only person who looked like they might care. This child had scrolled through his mother's contacts, looking for anyone who might help, and Justin's name was the only one that seemed promising. How isolated was Jane? How alone had she been all these years? Aaron, Justin said carefully, I need to talk to your mother. Can you let me in? The boy considered this request with that same assessing gaze. She said I should never open the door for strangers. I am not a stranger. I am. Justin paused, unsure how to finish that sentence. I am someone who cares about your mother very much. And about you. You do not even know me. I know, Justin admitted. And that is something I want to fix. But first, I need to make sure your mother is okay. I came a very long way because of that picture you sent. From New York. Aaron's eyes widened slightly. That is really far. We learned about it in school. It has a big statue. The Statue of Liberty. Yes, I came from there. Because when I saw that your mother was sick, I could not stay away. I had to come help. Something in Aaron's expression softened. Not quite trust, but maybe the beginning of it. Wait here, he said. I will get Mama. The door closed. Justin remained on his knees in the hallway, his mind reeling from everything he had just learned. He had a son. A brave, intelligent, protective son who had taken matters into his own hands when the adults in his life could not fix things. A son who had his eyes and his stubbornness and apparently his analytical mind. And Jane. Jane had been sick and alone and struggling, raising their child without any support, without any help, without even telling Justin that the child existed. Why had she not told him? Had she been so angry, so hurt by his betrayal, that she would rather struggle alone than accept anything from him? The answer was obvious, of course. Yes. That was exactly what Jane would do. She was proud and fierce, and she had told him very clearly that she deserved someone brave enough to choose her. He had not been that person. So she had built a life without him, even when it meant building it with nothing. The door opened again. This time, Jane was standing there. She looked worse than the photograph had suggested. Thin and pale, with dark circles under her eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. She was wearing worn pajamas and her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she was leaning against the doorframe like she needed its support to remain upright. But her eyes. Her eyes were exactly as he remembered. Fierce and proud and absolutely unwilling to show weakness. "Justin," she said. Her voice was flat, carefully controlled. "What are you doing here?" He got to his feet slowly, never taking his eyes off her face. "I got a photograph. Of you sleeping, looking sick. I came as soon as I saw it." Jane's gaze flicked to Aaron, who was standing slightly behind her, trying to look innocent and failing completely. "Aaron." Her voice carried a warning. "I did not mean to cause trouble, Mama. But you have been so sick and sad, and I thought maybe. We will talk about this later." Jane returned her attention to Justin, her expression hardening. "You should not have come. You are sick. I can see that much. What is wrong? What is happening? That is none of your business. It is as if my son is the one reaching out for help because he is scared his mother is dying." The word hung in the air between them. "Son." Out loud for the first time. Jane's face went even paler, which should not have been possible. "He told you. He did not have to tell me. Look at him, Jane. He has my eyes. My face. The math is not complicated." Jane was quiet for a long moment. Behind her, Aaron watched this exchange with the serious attention of a child who knew his entire world might be about to shift. "Fine," Jane finally said. "Yes, he is yours. Biologically. In every other way that matters, he is mine. I raised him alone for 5 years without any help from you or anyone else. Because you never told me he existed." Justin fought to keep his voice calm. "Do you think I would have stayed away if I knew? You made your choice 6 years ago. You chose your family's approval over me. Why would I give you the chance to reject our son the same way?" The words hit like blows, but Justin absorbed them. He deserved them. He knew he deserved them. "You are right," he said quietly. "I made the wrong choice. I was a coward. And I have regretted it every single day since you walked away." Pretty words. But I have heard your pretty words before. They did not mean much when you were too afraid to stand up to your family. I know. I am not asking you to forgive me. I am not asking for anything about us. I am just asking you to let me help. You are sick. I can see that. Let me at least make sure you get the care you need." Jane laughed, and there was no humor in it. "You think you can just show up after 6 years and start writing checks to fix everything? That is not how this works, Justin. Then tell me how it works. Tell me what you need. Tell me what I can do." Behind Jane, Aaron tugged at her pajama sleeve. "Mama." His small voice was tentative. "You should not be standing so long. The doctor said you need to rest." The reminder of her condition seemed to drain whatever energy Jane had been using to maintain her defiance. She sagged slightly against the doorframe, and Justin saw real exhaustion beneath the anger. "Please," he said, softer now. "Let me come in. Not to argue, not to relitigate the past. Just to talk. To understand what is happening. 1 hour. Then I will leave if you want me to." Jane looked at him for a long moment. Then she looked at Aaron, who was watching her with hope written across his small features. "Fine," she said finally. 1 hour. But this does not change anything between us." "I would not expect it to," Justin replied, meaning it. Jane stepped back to let him enter, and Justin walked into the apartment that had been his son's home for 5 years. A home he had never seen, never known about, never contributed to. The apartment was small but clean, clearly maintained by someone who took pride in their space despite limited resources. Children's artwork covered one wall. Books were stacked on every available surface. The furniture was worn but comfortable, the kind of things you got secondhand and made work because you had no other choice. It was so far from his penthouse. So far from the life he had been living. And yet, looking at Aaron's drawings on the refrigerator, at the evidence of a life built with love even under difficult circumstances, Justin thought it might be the most real home he had ever been in. "Sit down," Jane said, gesturing to an armchair that had definitely seen better decades. "Aaron, go to your room please. The adults need to talk." "But Mama." "Aaron." Her voice brooked no argument. "I will come check on you soon." The boy reluctantly retreated to a hallway leading to what must be the bedrooms, casting one last look at Justin before disappearing. "He is incredible," Justin said when they were alone. "Smart, brave, protective. You have done an amazing job with him." "I know." Jane lowered herself onto the couch with the careful movements of someone managing pain. "I did not need you to tell me that." "I know you did not. I am just saying it anyway." They sat in silence for a moment, 6 years of history and hurt and unspoken words filling the small space between them. "You were supposed to get married today." Jane said it flatly, like she was stating a fact about the weather. Justin blinked. "How did you know that?" "It was in the news. Billionaire CEO Justin Cooper to wed pharmaceutical heiress Melissa Bradford. A business arrangement dressed up as romance. I recognized the type. You kept track of me. It was hard not to. You have been in the headlines regularly. Very successful, from what I could see. Congratulations." The congratulations was delivered with absolutely no sincerity. Justin did not blame her. "I walked away from it," he said. "The wedding. The merger. All of it. When I saw that photograph, when I realized you were sick, nothing else mattered. I told them to cancel everything." Jane stared at him. "You cancelled your wedding because of a photograph sent by a 5-year-old without any explanation." "Yes." "Why?" "Because seeing you like that, sick and alone and struggling, made everything else in my life feel meaningless. Because I spent 6 years trying to convince myself I had made the right choice, and one picture proved that I had been lying to myself the entire time. Because I never stopped loving you, Jane, and the thought that you might be dying while I married someone else was unbearable." The words came out in a rush, more honest than Justin had been with anyone, including himself, in years. Jane was quiet for a long moment, processing. Her expression was unreadable, walls firmly in place. "You left a $47 million wedding," she finally said. "Your family is probably furious. The media will have a field day. And you did all of that because of one photograph." "Yes. You are insane." "Probably. But I am here. And I am not leaving until I know you are okay." Jane closed her eyes, and Justin could see the exhaustion catching up with her. The defiance was still there, but it was wavering. "What is wrong with you?" he asked gently. "Medically, I mean. What are we dealing with?" "We are not dealing with anything. I have been dealing with it alone for 3 years. 3 years. The number hit Justin hard. She had been sick for 3 years, and he had known nothing about it. "Please," he said. "Tell me." Jane was quiet for so long that Justin thought she might refuse. Then she opened her eyes, and some of the fight had gone out of them. "Autoimmune condition," she said. "My immune system attacking my own body. It is manageable with proper treatment, medication, regular monitoring, specialists. But you cannot afford the treatment. Single mothers working freelance graphic design do not typically have comprehensive health coverage." She laughed bitterly. "I have been rationing medication, skipping appointments, doing everything I can to keep working so I can keep the lights on and Aaron fed. Some months are better than others." "And your family?" "Your mother. Calls occasionally. Never visits. Never offers help. We were not close even before I moved across the country." Justin felt sick with guilt. Jane had been struggling alone for years, raising their son, fighting her own body, with no support system and no safety net. While he had been living in penthouses and planning society weddings and building an empire that meant nothing. "Let me help," he said. "Please, Jane. Not for me, not to earn forgiveness. Just let me make sure you get the care you need. I do not want your charity. It is not charity. It is the absolute minimum I owe you. I should have been here. I should have been helping support Aaron from the day he was born. You have been carrying this burden alone for 5 years because of my cowardice. Let me at least carry some of it now. Jane's eyes glistened, and Justin realized with a start that she was fighting back tears. Not tears of gratitude or relief, but tears of exhaustion. Years of holding everything together, of being strong because no one else would be, finally threatening to break through. Why now? She asked, her voice cracking slightly. Why show up now after 6 years? Do you have any idea what it has been like? No, Justin admitted. I do not. But I want to understand. I want to help. I want to be part of Aaron's life, even if you never forgive me for what I did to us. There is no us. There has not been an us for 6 years. I know. Justin leaned forward earnestly. I am not asking for that. I am asking for the chance to be a father. To help support my son. To make sure you have the medical care you need. That is all. Whatever you need from me, whatever boundaries you want to set, I will respect them. Jane looked at him for a long moment, and Justin could see the war happening behind her eyes. The pride that wanted to reject him. The exhaustion that was running out of strength to fight. The mother's instinct that knew accepting help would be better for Aaron. Fine, she said finally. You can help with the medical bills. For Aaron's sake, not mine. And you can visit. Supervised, controlled, at my discretion. You do not get to waltz back in like nothing happened. I would not expect that. And I do not forgive you. I am not ready for that. I understand. And you do not get to leave again. Her voice hardened. If you start this, if you become part of Aaron's life, you finish it. No disappearing when it gets hard. No backing out when your family disapproves again. Either you are all in, or you are nothing. I am all in. Justin met her eyes steadily. I promise you, Jane. I am not going anywhere. Not this time. Your promises did not mean much before. Then I will prove myself through actions instead of words. However long it takes. Jane nodded slowly, accepting this for now without fully believing it. The skepticism was still there, deep and justified. But there was also something else. A crack in the armor, small but visible. It was a start. The weeks that followed were a study in small acts of consistency. Justin did not return to New York. He sent his second-in-command to manage the fallout from the cancelled wedding, dealt with the media storm through carefully worded press releases, and watched from a distance as his family's fury played out in increasingly hostile voicemails he did not return. None of it mattered. For the first time in 6 years, he knew exactly where he needed to be. He rented a modest house 3 miles from Jane's apartment. Nothing extravagant, nothing that would make her feel like he was trying to impress or overwhelm. Just a simple 3-bedroom home in a quiet neighborhood, close enough to be present but not so close that she would feel crowded. The first week was awkward. Jane permitted him 1 supervised visit, 2 hours at a local park where Aaron could play while the adult sat on a bench and tried to figure out how to navigate this new reality. So. Aaron kicked at the wood chips beneath his feet, stealing glances at Justin between trips to the slide. You are really my dad? Yes. Justin kept his voice gentle. I really am. Why did you not come before? Because I did not know you existed. Your mother and I had a disagreement a long time ago, and she moved away before she knew you were coming. I only found out about you because of the picture you sent. Aaron processed this with the serious attention he gave to everything. Were you mean to Mama? Is that why she left? The question was direct in the way only children's questions can be. No softening, no diplomatic phrasing. Just the blunt truth of wanting to understand. Justin glanced at Jane, who was watching this exchange with an unreadable expression. She gave a slight nod. Permission to answer honestly. Yes, Justin said. I was not kind to your mother. I made choices that hurt her very much. That is why she left, and she had every right to leave. Are you still mean? No. Justin met his son's eyes directly. I have spent a long time thinking about the mistakes I made. I am trying to be better now. Aaron considered this for a moment. Mama says people do not really change. She says they just pretend to change when they want something. Your mother is very smart. Justin smiled slightly. And she is right that some people only pretend. But I think real change is possible if someone works very hard at it. I am going to try to show your mother that I have changed. It might take a long time for her to believe me. How will you show her? By being here. By doing what I say I am going to do. By not leaving when things get difficult. Aaron nodded slowly, apparently satisfied with this answer for now. I want to go on the swings, he announced, the serious conversation apparently complete. Will you push me? Justin looked at Jane again. She hesitated, then nodded. Sure, Justin said, something warm spreading through his chest. I would like that. For the next hour, he pushed his son on the swings. Higher, Aaron kept demanding. Higher, higher. And Justin obliged, watching the joy on his son's face, storing every moment like treasure. This was what he had missed. 5 years of first words and first steps and bedtime stories and skinned knees and all the ordinary miracles of watching a child grow. He could never get those years back. But he could be here for all the years to come. When the visit ended, Aaron hugged Justin goodbye without prompting. The gesture was brief, almost businesslike, but it meant everything. Same time next week? Aaron asked. If your mother says it is okay. Aaron looked at Jane expectantly. Same time next week, she confirmed, her voice carefully neutral. It was a small victory. Justin would take it. The second week brought a new challenge. Jane's medical appointments. She had agreed to let him pay for treatment, but she had not agreed to let him be involved in it. He found out about her appointment schedule only because Aaron mentioned it during their phone call. Mama has to go to the doctor tomorrow, Aaron said matter-of-factly. I am staying with the neighbor lady. She smells like cats but she is nice. Justin's chest tightened. Jane was going to medical appointments alone, leaving Aaron with a neighbor, because she had no one else to help. Aaron, can I talk to your mother for a minute? There was rustling on the other end, then Jane's voice, wary as always. What is it? I heard you have an appointment tomorrow. I would like to help. I do not need help. I know you do not need it. But Aaron mentioned he is staying with the neighbor. I could watch him instead. Give him something to do. Maybe take him to lunch. Silence on the line. Justin waited. You want to babysit, Jane said flatly. I want to spend time with my son and give you one less thing to worry about. More silence. He could almost hear her debating with herself. Fine, she finally said. But you bring him back by 3. And if anything happens, you call me immediately. Of course. Thank you, Jane. She hung up without saying goodbye. Justin did not mind. It was progress. The next day, he picked Aaron up from the apartment at 9 in the morning. Jane was already dressed for her appointment, looking tired but determined. He has had breakfast, she said, listing instructions with military precision. He needs a snack around 10:30. He is allergic to tree nuts. He gets cranky when he is hungry, so do not let him skip meals. He has to hold your hand when crossing streets. He knows the rules but he will test you. Got it, Justin said. Breakfast done, snack at 10:30, no tree nuts, hand holding for streets. Jane studied him like she was waiting for him to mess up already. I will be back by 2, she said. 3 at the latest. Take your time. We will be fine. She did not look convinced, but she kissed Aaron's forehead and left anyway. Justin turned to his son. So. What would you like to do today? Aaron's face lit up. There is a museum, he said. With dinosaurs. Mama said we could go sometime but she has been too tired. Then let us go see some dinosaurs. The museum was crowded with families, but Aaron navigated it like a seasoned explorer. He knew exactly which exhibits he wanted to see, which dinosaurs were his favorites, which buttons to press for the interactive displays. Justin followed his lead, asking questions, listening to Aaron's surprisingly detailed explanations of prehistoric periods and extinction events. The boy was smart. Really smart. And starved for someone to share his knowledge with. Mama does not like dinosaurs, Aaron confided as they stood before a massive T-Rex skeleton. She says they are fine but she gets tired of hearing about them. So I try not to talk about them too much. Justin's heart ached. You can talk to me about dinosaurs anytime you want, he said. I think they are fascinating. Aaron's whole face changed. Really? Really? Tell me more about this one. For the next hour, Aaron talked non-stop. About dinosaurs and fossils and what scientists think happened millions of years ago. Justin listened to every word, asked follow-up questions, let his son be the expert on something. This was what children needed. Someone to pay attention. Someone to think their interests were important. Someone to make them feel seen. They had lunch at a casual restaurant near the museum. Aaron ordered chicken fingers and talked between bites about school, about his friends, about the drawing he was working on at home. What are you drawing? Justin asked. Dragons. Aaron's expression turned serious. Purple ones. Mama says I can make them any color I want because they are imaginary. Purple sounds like a good choice. Some kids at school said dragons have to be red or green. But I told them they were wrong because it is my drawing and I get to decide. Justin smiled. You are absolutely right. It is your art. You make the rules. Aaron studied him for a moment. You are not like I thought you would be. What did you think I would be like? I do not know. Aaron shrugged. Maybe mean. Or boring. Or too busy to actually talk to me. The words were delivered casually, but they cut Justin to the core. I am never too busy for you, he said carefully. Whatever is happening, you are more important. Always. Aaron nodded, apparently accepting this, and returned to his chicken fingers. They arrived back at the apartment at 2:15. Jane was already home, waiting on the couch, her face drawn with the particular exhaustion that came from medical appointments. How was it? She asked, her eyes scanning Aaron for any sign of distress. The best, Aaron announced. We saw dinosaurs and I told Dad everything about them and he actually listened and then we had lunch and I had chocolate milk. Dad. The word hung in the air. It was the first time Aaron had used it directly. Jane's expression flickered. Surprise, maybe. Or something more complicated. That sounds wonderful, baby. Why do not you go wash your hands before your snack? Aaron disappeared down the hall, leaving Justin and Jane alone. Thank you, Jane said quietly. For today. Thank you for letting me. She studied him for a moment, something shifting behind her eyes. He seems happy, she admitted. Happier than he has been in a while. He is an incredible kid, Jane. Smart, curious, thoughtful. You have raised him well. I know. She said it without pride, just fact. I have worked very hard to make sure he has everything he needs. Even when everything was not very much. Justin wanted to say something, to apologize again, to acknowledge everything she had done alone. But he knew she did not want his apologies right now. She wanted proof. Same time next week? He asked instead. Jane nodded slowly. Same time next week. Before we continue with the journey ahead, I need to pause and speak directly to you. We have just watched something beautiful start to form. A father learning his son's interests. A child starting to trust. A mother watching from a careful distance, waiting to see if this time will be different. This is what second chances actually look like. Not grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Just showing up. Day after day. Doing what you said you would do. Being present even when it is inconvenient. Have you ever been in a situation where someone had to earn your trust slowly? Where you wanted to believe they had changed but needed to see proof first? If this story is speaking to you, I need you to do something for me right now. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear that redemption is possible when people do the work. And if you are not subscribed yet, this is your sign. Click subscribe and the notification bell because we are not done yet. The real test is still coming. Now, back to the story. Because what happens next will challenge everything. The weeks turned into months, and Justin kept his word. He visited twice a week, then 3 times when Jane's health improved enough that she felt comfortable with more contact. He called every evening to say goodnight to Aaron, short conversations that became longer as the boy grew more comfortable with him. He learned Aaron's routines. Favorite foods. Bedtime rituals. The specific way he liked his sandwiches cut. The stuffed dragon he slept with every night. He learned Jane's routines too, though she shared less willingly. Her work hours. Her treatment schedule. The days when she had more energy and the days when everything was a struggle. Jane's health stabilized, then improved. The specialists Justin had arranged were the best in the city, and for the first time in years, she was getting consistent, comprehensive care. The change was visible. Color returned to her cheeks. She moved with less pain. The dark circles under her eyes slowly faded. She did not thank him. Justin did not expect her to. But she started letting him stay longer. Started occasionally accepting his help with things beyond medical bills. Let him pick Aaron up from school when she had appointments. Let him take Aaron to the park on weekends while she rested. Small concessions. But each one felt like a gift. For months after that first night in Portland, Justin was helping Aaron with homework at Jane's kitchen table when his phone rang. The name on the screen made his jaw tighten. Mother. He had been avoiding this conversation for months. His family's messages had grown increasingly hostile as time passed and he failed to return to New York, failed to fix things with Melissa, failed to return to the life they had planned for him. Justin stepped into the hallway, leaving Aaron with his math problems. "Hello, Mother." Finally. Eleanor Cooper's voice was cold as always. "For months without a word. I was beginning to think you had died. I have been busy." "Busy." She made the word sound like an insult. "Busy hiding in Oregon, from what I understand. Busy ruining everything your father and I built for you. The Bradford merger is dead. Our reputation is in shambles. And you are busy." "Portland," Justin corrected mildly. "I am in Portland. And I am not hiding. I am living." "Living." Eleanor's laugh was humorless. "Playing house with that woman, you mean? The one who was not suitable 6 years ago and somehow became less suitable since. Her name is Jane. And she is the mother of your grandson." Silence. Long, glacial silence. "Grandson," Eleanor repeated flatly. "His name is Aaron. He is 5 years old. And he is brilliant." More silence. Then Eleanor spoke again, her voice somehow even colder. "You expect me to believe that woman's child is yours? He is mine. There is no question about it." A pause. Then Eleanor's tone shifted. Became calculating in a way Justin recognized. "Well," she said. "This changes things. It changes nothing about my plans." "Of course it does. If there is a child, there are responsibilities. Obligations. He will need proper education, proper guidance, proper introduction to society. He needs his mother. And he needs me to be present and consistent. That is what he needs. Justin, be reasonable." Eleanor's voice carried that particular condescension she saved for moments when she thought he was being foolish. "Whatever happened between you and that woman, you cannot spend the rest of your life in Portland pretending to be ordinary. You have a company to run. A legacy to maintain. My company is running fine with remote leadership. And my legacy is no longer your concern. I am your mother." "Yes." Justin let the word hang. "And 6 years ago, you convinced me to abandon the woman I loved because she was not suitable. That decision has been the biggest regret of my life. I am not making the same mistake twice." He hung up before she could respond. When he returned to the kitchen, both Jane and Aaron were watching him. He had not realized Jane was there. "Your family?" she asked quietly. "My mother." Justin sat back down at the table, forcing his expression to neutral. "Nothing important." Jane studied him for a moment. "Aaron, can you take your homework to your room for a few minutes? I need to talk to your dad." Aaron gathered his papers with obvious reluctance, casting curious glances at both adults before retreating. When they were alone, Jane sat across from Justin. "What did she say?" "The usual. That I am ruining the family name. That I should come back to New York and return to my real life. She found out about Aaron." Jane's expression hardened. "How?" "I told her." "Why?" "Because I am not going to hide him. Or you. I spent 6 years pretending you did not matter because my family disapproved. I am not doing that again." Jane was quiet for a moment. "They will try to interfere," she said finally. "People like your family, they do not just accept things they cannot control. They will find ways to make our lives difficult." "Probably." Justin met her eyes directly. "But I will handle it. Whatever they try, I will deal with it. And if they try to take Aaron?" Jane's voice carried an edge of fear she rarely showed. "If they decide he is a Cooper heir and they should have control of his upbringing? They will not. I will not let them. You might not have a choice." Justin leaned forward, his voice firm. "Jane, listen to me. I walked away from a $47 million wedding for you. I abandoned my family's plans and their merger and their entire vision for my life. I am not going to let them take anything from you or Aaron. I will spend every dollar I have fighting them if I have to. They do not get to control this." Something shifted in Jane's expression. A softening she had not shown before. "You really mean that?" "I really mean it." She was quiet for another long moment. Then she said something that surprised him. "I believe you." 3 simple words. But they changed everything. That night, after Aaron was asleep, Justin and Jane sat on her couch and talked. Really talked, for the first time since he had arrived in Portland. "Why did you not tell me about him?" Justin asked finally. The question he had been holding back for months. "When you found out you were pregnant, why did you just disappear?" Jane was quiet, staring at her hands. Because I was hurt. And angry. And I could not bear the thought of you being in my life out of obligation instead of choice. I would have chosen. You would have married me because you felt you had to, Jane interrupted. And your family would have made our lives miserable. And eventually you would have resented me for trapping you. For forcing you into something you had already shown you did not actually want. That is not true. Is it not? Jane looked at him. When your family told you I was not suitable, you believed them. Maybe you did not want to believe them, but you let their opinion matter more than your own feelings. How long before you started seeing Aaron and me as burdens instead of blessings? Justin wanted to argue. But the truth was, she might have been right. 6 years ago, he had been weak. Easily swayed. More concerned with approval than authenticity. You are right, he admitted. The man I was back then might have done exactly that. But I am not that man anymore. I am starting to believe that, Jane said quietly. I did not want to. It would be so much easier if you were still the coward who let me walk away. But you keep showing up. You keep doing what you say you will do. And I do not know how to fit that into the story I have been telling myself for 6 years. Maybe the story needs to change, Justin said gently. Maybe. Jane met his eyes. But I am scared, Justin. I spent years building a life that did not include you. I taught myself not to need anyone. And now you are here, and Aaron adores you, and I can see how good you are for him. But what happens if you change your mind? What happens if your family convinces you we are not worth the trouble? What happens when being here stops being novel and starts being ordinary? Then ordinary is what I will choose, Justin said. Every day. Because ordinary with you and Aaron is better than anything else I have ever had. Jane looked at him for a long moment. Then she did something she had not done since he arrived. She reached out and took his hand. The gesture was small. Brief. But it meant everything. I am not ready to trust you completely, she said. But I am willing to try. That is all I ask. They sat in silence after that, hands still touching, two people who had been broken by each other learning whether the pieces could fit together again. The 5th month brought a crisis. Justin was in a board meeting via video conference when his assistant interrupted with an urgent message. There was a problem at Aaron's school. An incident. Jane was not answering her phone. He ended the meeting mid-sentence and drove to the school. Aaron was in the principal's office, tear-streaked and defiant. Another boy twice his size sat across the room, sporting a bloody nose. Mr. Cooper. The principal rose as Justin entered. Thank you for coming. What happened? There was an altercation on the playground, the principal explained. Aaron struck another student. Justin looked at his son, who met his eyes with that stubborn expression he was really coming to recognize. Aaron. Is that true? He said my mom was going to die, Aaron said, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and fear. He said sick people like her always die and then I would be alone and nobody would want me. The words hit Justin like a physical blow. He looked at the other boy, who had the grace to look slightly ashamed under Justin's gaze. I see, Justin said quietly. He turned to the principal. Where is the other boy's parent? His mother is on her way. Good. Because we need to discuss why her son thinks it is appropriate to say such things to a child whose mother is ill. Mr. Cooper, the principal said carefully, regardless of what was said, violence is not acceptable. No, Justin agreed. But neither is cruelty. My son was defending his mother against a hurtful attack. While I do not condone hitting, I understand why he felt he had no other option. He crouched down to Aaron's level. Hey, he said softly. Look at me. Aaron looked up, eyes still shiny with tears. What that boy said was wrong. Your mother is getting better every day. She is not going anywhere. And no matter what happens, you will never, ever be alone. I am here. I am not leaving. Do you understand? Aaron nodded, bottom lip trembling. But hitting is not the right way to handle it, Justin continued. When people say cruel things, we use our words to respond. Or we walk away and tell an adult. Okay. Okay, Aaron whispered. Good. Justin pulled him into a hug, feeling his son's small body shaking against him. I am proud of you for wanting to protect your mother. But next time, come find me or a teacher first. The other boy's mother arrived shortly after, full of righteous indignation that quickly deflated when she heard what her son had actually said. By the time they left, apologies had been exchanged and Aaron had been excused with a warning rather than a suspension. In the car, Aaron was quiet. Dad? Yeah. Is Mama really going to be okay? Justin pulled into a parking lot and stopped the car. He turned to face his son fully. Your mother is getting the best care possible. Her doctors are very happy with how she is doing. She is going to be okay. Promise? I promise. Justin took Aaron's hand. And even if something did happen, which it will not, you would never be alone. You have me. You have your mother's friends. You have people who love you. You will always be taken care of. Aaron nodded slowly, some of the tension leaving his small shoulders. I love you, Dad. The words came out quietly, almost shyly. It was the first time Aaron had said them. Justin felt his throat tighten. I love you too, buddy. More than you know. When they got home, Jane was waiting. Her phone had died during her appointment, and she had arrived home to 17 missed calls and 2 voicemails. Is he okay? She asked immediately, pulling Aaron into a hug. What happened? The school said there was a fight. Aaron defended your honor, Justin said. A boy said something cruel about you being sick. Aaron objected. Physically. Jane pulled back to look at her son. You hit someone. He said you were going to die, Aaron said defensively. He said nobody would want me. Jane's expression crumpled. She pulled Aaron close again. Oh, baby. I am not going anywhere. You know that, right? Dad already told me, Aaron mumbled against her shoulder. Jane looked up at Justin over Aaron's head. Something passed between them. Gratitude, maybe. Or something deeper. Thank you, she mouthed. Justin nodded. That night, after Aaron was asleep, Jane asked Justin to stay. Not in that way, she clarified quickly. Just to talk. I do not want to be alone tonight. Of course. They sat on the couch, closer than they had before. Jane told him about her appointment, about the good news she had received before her phone died. Her numbers were improving. The treatment was working. The specialists were optimistic. I am going to be okay, she said. Really okay. For the first time in years, I actually believe that. I am glad. Jane was quiet for a moment. Justin, I need to ask you something. Anything. What happens now? With us, I mean. You have been here for 5 months. You have been everything you said you would be. But where does this go? Justin chose his words carefully. That depends on what you want. I do not know what I want. Jane laughed quietly, a sound with no humor. That is the problem. For 6 years, I knew exactly what I wanted. To survive. To raise Aaron. To need no one. And now you are here and you are good and I do not know how to fit that into who I have become. Then do not try to fit it, Justin said. Let it be something new. Something we figure out together. Jane turned to look at him, really look at him. I am scared, she admitted. I have spent so long protecting myself. I do not know if I remember how to let someone in. Then we go slow. As slow as you need. And if I need forever. Then I will wait forever. Jane studied his face, looking for something. Whatever she found made her shoulders relax. I do not think it will take forever, she said softly. But I needed to know you would wait. For you. Justin met her eyes. Always. The 6th month marked a turning point. Justin's mother arrived in Portland unannounced, armed with lawyers and threats and the particular kind of entitlement that came from decades of getting exactly what she wanted. She appeared at Jane's apartment on a Tuesday afternoon, expensive heels clicking against the worn hallway floor. You must be Jane, Eleanor said when the door opened. We need to talk. Jane looked at her with the calm expression of someone who had survived much worse than an aging socialite with delusions of control. You must be Justin's mother. He mentioned you were unpleasant. Please come in. The meeting did not go well for Eleanor. She had come prepared with arguments about custody and proper upbringing and the responsibilities that came with being a Cooper heir. She had expected Jane to be intimidated, overwhelmed, easily manipulated. She had not expected Jane to have her own lawyer present. This is my attorney, Jane said pleasantly, gesturing to the woman who had arrived 10 minutes before Eleanor. Justin arranged for her to be available in case you decided to interfere. I believe she has some documents for you to review. Eleanor's face went rigid as the lawyer produced a stack of paperwork outlining exactly why any attempt to challenge Jane's custody would fail spectacularly in court. Justin has been advised of the situation, the lawyer said. He has made it very clear that any action against Ms. Pittman will be met with the full resources of his legal team. And his personal fortune. Eleanor looked at the documents. Then at Jane. Then back at the documents. He has thrown away everything, she said finally. His position. His future. His family. For this. No, Jane replied calmly. He has built a family. Something you apparently never gave him. Eleanor left without another word. That evening, Justin arrived at the apartment to find Jane waiting with a bottle of wine and something he had never seen before on her face. A genuine smile. Your mother visited, she said. I heard. I am sorry I was not here. Do not be. Jane handed him a glass. It was actually quite satisfying, watching her realize she had no power here. She will not give up easily. No, Jane agreed. But I am not easily intimidated. And I have something she does not. What is that? Her son on my side. Justin smiled. You always had me on your side. I was just too stupid to know it. Jane laughed. The sound was warm and real and so different from the bitter laughs he had heard in the early months. I am starting to believe that, she said. Finally. They drank wine and talked late into the night. About the future. About what they wanted. About the possibility that maybe, after everything, they could build something real. I think I am ready, Jane said finally, her voice soft. Ready for what? To try again. With us. Really try, not just co-parenting, not just being civil. Actually try to be together. Justin set down his glass. Are you sure? I do not want to rush you. I am sure. Jane met his eyes. You have spent 6 months proving yourself. You have been patient and consistent in everything you said you would be. At some point, I have to stop waiting for the other shoe to drop and just trust that this is real. It is real, Justin said. I promise you. Then prove it. How? Kiss me. So he did. And it was better than he remembered. Better than 6 years of memory and longing had prepared him for. Because this was not the desperate passion of their younger selves. This was something earned. Something chosen. Something that had survived betrayal and absence and the slow, painful work of rebuilding. When they finally pulled apart, Jane was crying. I forgot, she whispered. I forgot what this felt like. Being happy. Being safe. Justin pulled her close. You never have to forget again. The months that followed were the best of Justin's life. He moved from the rental house to an apartment closer to Jane's. Then, 8 months after that first night in Portland, Jane suggested something unexpected. Move in with us. Justin stared at her. Are you sure? Aaron asks about it constantly. She smiled. And I am tired of saying goodbye to you at the end of every night. So he moved in. Into the small apartment he had once seen as evidence of Jane's struggle, now transformed by his presence into something that felt undeniably like home. They built routines. Morning chaos getting Aaron ready for school. Work hours at the kitchen table, both of them focused but comfortable in each other's presence. Evening dinners where Aaron talked about his day and Jane laughed more than Justin had ever heard her laugh. It was ordinary. It was perfect. A year after Justin had walked out of his wedding, they stood together in Jane's living room, Aaron between them, taking a photo to commemorate the anniversary. 1 year, Jane said wonderingly. It feels like both forever and no time at all. The best year of my life, Justin replied. Mine too, Aaron added. Dad made everything better. Justin looked at his son, at the boy who had sent one brave photograph and changed everything. No, he said. You did. You made everything better. I just showed up. That is what dads are supposed to do, Aaron said with perfect 5-year-old logic. Show up. And from the mouths of children comes wisdom. The following month, Justin asked Jane to marry him. Not with a grand gesture or a public proposal. Just the two of them, on the couch where they had first talked, where they had first touched hands, where they had first kissed. I know it is fast, he said. And I know you have every reason to say no. But I love you. I have always loved you. And I want to spend the rest of my life proving that I am the man you deserve. Jane looked at the ring. Simple, elegant, nothing like the massive diamond Melissa Bradford had worn. Is this what you want? She asked. Really want? Not because of Aaron or obligation or trying to fix the past. This is what I want, Justin confirmed. You. Aaron. This life we have built. I want all of it. Forever. Jane smiled, and it reached her eyes, lit up her whole face the way it had in those old photographs on her phone. Then yes, she said. Yes, I will marry you. Aaron's reaction when they told him was everything. Finally, he said with exaggerated exasperation. I have been waiting for this for months. You have? Justin laughed. Obviously. Aaron rolled his eyes. You guys look at each other all mushy. It was only a matter of time. Out of the mouths of children indeed. The wedding was small. 20 people in a garden venue in Portland. No media, no society pages, no strategic considerations. Just family. Jane walked down the aisle in a simple white dress, Aaron beside her as ring bearer and escort. Justin watched them come toward him and felt tears prick his eyes. A year ago, he had almost married the wrong woman in a ballroom full of strangers. Now he was marrying the right woman in front of the people who actually mattered. When they exchanged vows, Jane added her own. 6 years ago, I told you that I deserved someone brave enough to choose me, she said. I spent a long time believing you were not that person. But you proved me wrong. You chose us. Every day, you chose us. And that is all I ever wanted. Justin's vows were simpler. I was a coward once, he said. I let fear and expectation steal the best thing that ever happened to me. I will never make that mistake again. You and Aaron are my life. My home. My everything. I choose you. Today, tomorrow, and every day after that. When they kissed, Aaron made gagging sounds that made everyone laugh. And when they walked back down the aisle together, a family united at last, Justin caught sight of a small face beaming up at him. Aaron. The little boy who had sent a photograph and changed everything. The little boy who had refused to accept that his mother should suffer alone. The little boy who had more courage at 5 years old than Justin had shown in 34 years. Some people spend their whole lives waiting for a grand gesture, a dramatic moment, a pivotal choice that will change everything. But sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest acts. A photograph sent in desperation. A cancelled wedding. A man finally choosing what mattered over what was expected. This is a story about second chances. But not the fairy tale kind. The real kind. The kind where trust has to be rebuilt one day at a time. The kind where people have to prove through action that they have changed. The kind where love is not enough by itself but is the foundation on which everything else is built. Jane Pittman learned that protecting her heart and truly living cannot coexist forever. That sometimes letting someone in is braver than keeping everyone out. Justin Cooper learned that real courage is not about grand gestures but daily choices. That being present matters more than being impressive. That the life you build with love is worth more than any empire. And Aaron Pittman learned that when you see someone you love suffering, you find a way to help. Even if it means breaking the rules. Even if it means reaching out to strangers. Even if you are only 5 years old. Sometimes the smallest people do the bravest things. And sometimes one photograph is all it takes to change everything. If this story touched you, if you believe in second chances and the power of showing up, I need you to do something right now. Hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear that broken things can be rebuilt when people are willing to do the work. Subscribe if you have not already. Turn on those notifications. Because this is what we do at Mr. Dawson Stories. We tell the truth about love and loss and the messy work of becoming better than we were. Drop a comment telling me your thoughts. Have you ever been given a second chance? Did you take it? What would you do if you received a photograph that changed everything? Your voice matters in this community we are building together. Remember what Aaron taught us. When you see someone you love struggling, you find a way to help. And when someone earns your trust through consistent action, maybe you give them the chance to prove they have changed. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And take care of each other.